Hi everybody, it's Aggie and welcome to another Thursday video. So as freelancers we love success. A lot of culture that you see in the social media like LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter is based on success. The times we did great, the customers were happy, gave us a rave review, praised us on our Google My Business page or recommended us to other people. This is what we live for, this is what we want. But every now and again you mess up. Even if you haven't, chances are you probably will. I think the best thing to do is to embrace that and move on. And indeed, in my 10-year-long career as a Polish to English translator, interpreter, and occasionally a transcriber, I have messed up quite a few times. So today I would like to bring you top 5 times where I really had an epic fail. I hope you learn from those mistakes and don't repeat them. Let's go. Fail number 1. I was doing a job in Leeds Crown Court, and normally what I do is I catch a train to wherever I'm going to be working in, and I walk from the train station to a court or a tribunal. It's a little known fact, but the vast majority of courts that I work in Lancashire, sometimes Cheshire and Yorkshire, are located quite closely to the train stations. I don't know whether that was by design, but it's a fact. So the moment I stepped off the train in Leeds, I felt something was just wrong, and I started to feel increasingly uncomfortable as I was leaving the station, which is, by the way, vast. I realized that I won't be able to walk to the court because of intense pain. I was wearing beautiful, very feminine Mary Jane black patent shoes, not excessively heeled, so I had to catch a taxi in the end. When I got to the court, a 3.5-hour period of torture began. I was in so much pain. I am actually quite surprised at how I managed to interpret accurately. I was shifting my weight from one leg to the other the whole time, and I think towards the end the court staff and the Crown Prosecution Service liaison and the judge were aware that I'm in a lot of pain and really uncomfortable. So when I got to the station, I literally ripped off the shoes, put them in my bag, and I was just strolling down the Leeds train station in just tights. And since it's England, nobody really cared. People had seen worse, we've all had seen worse. But it always kind of makes me laugh because I was really, smartly dressed, and I just basically looked like I was doing a walk of shame, except it was middle of the afternoon. So heed my advice when I say that if you are appearing in court and interpreting for someone, it's always good to assume you're going to have to stand for long periods of time, so wear comfortable shoes. Fail number 2. So I was attending a training event by an organization that I really wanted to work for as a linguist. We had a bit of a break for lunch, and I had my microphone on, and I was texting with someone, and suddenly I found out about something really shocking, and I went, "Oh, this," and I forgot that I had the microphone on. Now, in the time of Zoom conferences, we've all seen the massive fails during the pandemic where everything was on Zoom, but it was really shocking, and I didn't expect that ever to happen to me since I've been working remotely for such a long time. So needless to say, I didn't get to work for the client. They were actually quite nice about it, and they were laughing and saying, "Oh, we work with a very particular type of clients that we support, so we actually don't mind if someone has a bit of a personality about them." But that was kind of the end of my possible cooperation with them. So that was a very valuable lesson. I'm going to allow myself to slightly misquote Douglas Adams: "Always know where my microphone mute button is." Fail number 3. Now this one wasn't exactly entirely my fault, but I was attending what's called a home visit. For those of your lovely viewers who are connecting maybe from the US, in the UK we have something called Children's Services Social Care, and this is slightly similar to Child Protective Services in the US, and sometimes they have to visit someone in their home. I attended about 15 minutes before the appointment was due to start, and I'm standing there and I wait and I wait and no one turns up. Usually what happens is we kind of position ourselves next to the home of the person that we will be interpreting for, because we're not allowed to enter the house without the professional. Nobody was there, and just purely by chance I saw someone waving towards me in the distance, like, and I thought, oh wow, that's the actual professional. I was at number 1 instead of number 3. But this was a very valuable lesson for me, to always check my addresses beforehand, triple check them, make sure that I know what the building looks like. And this is where Google comes really handy, because you can actually do a street view and you can really pinpoint what the place that you're going to looks like. So I highly recommend this, to always make sure that you know where you're going beforehand. Fail number 4 is something that is a risk that comes hand in hand with working remotely. However, I've never had it happen on such an important occasion and in such a fashion. At some point I changed my internet providers and I chose the cheapest option on the market. This was a mistake, because as soon as I did, I noticed a drop in quality, and so did my colleagues that I was doing some online practice with. Things came to a head when I was assisting a barrister, and all of a sudden the connection just dropped. I thought, okay, let's reboot, let's see if it starts back alive, and it didn't. My agency phoned me and said the client is really unhappy, you know, what happened? And I said, I'm really sorry, but the connection just dropped all of a sudden. I don't know what happened. I'm trying to get through to the provider and see if a technician could reset it, or is there something that they could do. And it turned out that there was nothing that they could do, because on their end everything was fine with my connection. I spent, I think, an hour and a half with them on the phone and doing a back and forth and trying to work out why is it that I don't have the internet. It was a lesson learned. I switched the provider to a more expensive one. I actually went for a business package. So don't do what I did. Don't go for the cheapest internet package, and also know what to do if your connection suddenly drops. Fail number 5. So I used to think that it's impossible for 2 Polish families to be at the same ward in the same hospital at the same time. There was a period when I was doing a lot of medical interpreting appointments. I was asked to go to a particular hospital. I arrived there. I was introduced to a Polish family, but then things started to get a bit weird, because the person I was interpreting for knew English really, really well, and they were able to understand all the questions. But I kind of, plodded on until the person said, well, actually, I don't need an interpreter. But what it actually was, there was another family, literally a bed across, and they were the ones who needed the interpreter. Me being still a rookie, instead of checking and making sure that the person was the person that I was supposed to interpret for, I just kind of went and started to interpret. But luckily I managed to get to the right person who needed my support. So since then it's basically my practice to always double check the name and just make sure that I have the right client. That's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. These were my top 5 fails from my 10 years of interpreting. If you have any epic fails, if you want to share them, if you want to teach others and help others avoid those mistakes, please share them in the comments. If you like my channel and if you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.